Again, another effort to, for gun safety or gun control, depending on how you want to look at it. Now, if passed, this proposal would limit the magazine capacity for rifles and shotguns to 10 rounds and handguns to 15 rounds. It would also ban detachable magazines. It would make it easier for shooters to reload their weapons. Now, Kelly, a co-sponsor of this bill, joined fellow Democratic senators also sponsoring the proposal. Michael Bennett from Colorado and Martin Heinrich from New Mexico in the nation's capital today. The point of this legislation, they said, was to limit the type of rapid-fire weapons they commonly see used in mass shootings. Kelly acknowledged that no law will stop all of these mass shootings, but says Congress has to do more to protect Americans from gun violence. To make his point, Kelly spoke about the attempted assassination of his wife, former Congresswoman Gabby Giffords, 12 years ago. The gunman used a high-capacity gun to kill 6 people and wound 19 others, including Giffords, who nearly died.
I know the damage a firearm can do, whether it's on the battlefield or at a neighborhood grocery store. And I understand the worry that parents have, especially moms who have to send their kids to school every single day and worry about what comes next.
Kelly and the other co-sponsoring senators claim that the proposed legislation is, quote, common sense reform that also protects the Second Amendment. The National Rifle Association strongly agrees with that, and the NRA is already voicing strong opposition to this piece of legislation, labeling it a blatant violation of the constitutional rights. Back with you guys.
You said before, here we go again, and it's like after the Tucson shooting and all the subsequent mass shootings we've had, it feels like there are a lot of do-gooders who try to bring up reform. Nothing ever gets done. And Congress right now is perhaps even more divided, like even within the parties, to get anything done.
Right now, I'll give you a sense of where this bill is at and how this bodes for the future of this piece of legislation. Not a single Republican has signed on in support of this legislation. So you can't be claiming this is some sort of bipartisan proposal right now, because it's not strictly a partisan proposal at this time. Now, it's also interesting, as we're seeing some reporting now, that over this past weekend, the United States passed a grim record with the most killings in a mass shooting for a single year here now in 2023. So would that add any more pressure for Congress to step up and do something with this? I don't know, but we've been here before with other mass shootings, and not a whole lot has changed.
Seems doubtful the House would even take it up in its current formation. Dennis, thanks.